Hello everyone. Today we're going to be talking about a famous poem by W.B. Yeats, Sailing to Byzantium. Byzantium is not just the title but also a metaphor for an eternal life, for transcendental life. And Sailing to Byzantium is a personal as well as a metaphorical poem. Yeats, as we know, is undoubtedly, till date, even now, one of the most dominant voices of the 20th century English poetry. And Sailing to Byzantium still is called a masterpiece in poetry. So let's come to the brief analysis of the text of the poem. This was published in 1926 and was an emphatic reminder of his own keen interest in the eternal art, spirituality, and the historic city of this Eastern Empire, and the significance of art and culture in his life. Now the poem says, "That is no country for old men, the young in one another's arms, birds in the trees. Those dying generations at their song, the salmon falls, the mackerel crowded seas, fish, flesh or fowl, comment all summer long, whatever is begotten, born and dies. Caught in that sensual music, all neglect monuments of unaging intellect." Now here the poem begins itself with an indication to a country for old men. That is no country for old men. Here he is pointing towards Ireland, from which he wants to escape, although it is his own country and he had always fought for the freedom of Irish Empire against the Britishers. But now, since he is in his early 60s at the time of writing the poem, he wants to leave the place. Why? Because he feels neglected. In his old age, there's no care, there's no depth, there's no interest, no spirituality in that country. So he says that's no country for old men. The young generation is more interested in sensual pleasures, the physical belongingness, birds in the trees, those dying generations at their song. The whole nature is busy in its own living, in its own process, and the sensual living, the sensual and the physical quality of life, which he does not like anymore. Fish, flesh or fowl, comment all summer long, whatever is begotten, born and dies. Now he is kind of, in a detached way, visualizing the cycle of birth, life and death. His spirituality is kind of taking him to the depths of religion and art, for which he wants to visit a place like Byzantium. Caught in the sensual music, all neglect monuments of unaging intellect. He is a seeker of eternal beauty, eternal art, for the reason he has seen his life through the Irish struggles, through the love stories that he's been going through writing, through theatre, through poetry, but now he wants the eternal beauty, the eternal art in his life. In the next stanza he says, "An aged man is but a paltry thing." Now here he is getting a metaphor. An aged man, this shows that he is aware, he's conscious of his growing age and he's not happy with it. Is but a paltry thing. He feels the unpleasant sense of growing up, a tattered coat upon a stick. So he feels as if his body is like a tattered coat, a torn coat which is hanging upon a lean stick. Unless soul claps its hands and sing, and louder sing for every tatter in its mortal dress. So he says, my body is just a coat upon a stick which is in tatters, unless there is some happiness, there is some ecstasy, some joy when my soul shall sing the song of eternity. Nor is there singing school, but studying monuments of its own magnificence. So here you can notice the use of alliteration also. Consonants, singing school, monuments of magnificence. He says there is no singing school that would teach you the music of the soul, because the world is so busy, so engrossed in the sensual pleasures of their life. And therefore, I have sailed the seas and come to the holy city of Byzantium. So here is the reason why he is interested in leaving his own land, Ireland, and coming, sailing through the seas to the holy city of Byzantium. In the third stanza, he says, O sages standing in God's holy fire. Now he's addressing the sages here, because ultimately he knows he has to go towards his soul's terrain where he will find some joy and peace and eternal bliss. O sages, so he calls upon the sages standing in God's holy fire, as in the gold mosaic of a wall. Come from the holy fire, burn in a gyre, and be the singing masters of my soul. He's invoking the gods. Gods to come in a gyre, in a circular motion, in a spiral motion, to come down on the ground, to help him and be the singing masters of his soul. Consume my heart away, sick with desire. He is not happy with his heart. He's tired of his desires, he's tired of his dreams, because he has not been able to fulfill them completely, because the world is in shatters, the world is bearing the fire of violence. So his heart is sick with desire, and he invokes the gods to come and consume completely his heart away so that he is free from the desires. Sick with desire and fastened to a dying animal. Now he is very much aware that his physical body is dying. He is shedding away. So he compares it to a dying animal. It knows not what it is, and gather me into the artifice of eternity. So this is his intention. This is his demand from the gods, that please come and gather me, collect me together into the artifice of eternity. Make me eternal. The last stanza says, once out of nature, I shall never take my bodily form from any natural thing. Now here nature means the world, the physical existence, the physical living. He says, once I'm out of nature, I'm out of this physical existence, I shall not be interested in taking up again this bodily form from any natural thing. But such a form as Grecian goldsmiths make of hammered gold and gold enameling to keep a drowsy emperor awake. He says, instead, I would like to take the shape, I would like to take the form of a piece of art, just as the Grecian goldsmiths make things out of gold, birds out of gold that keep the drowsy emperors awake. Or set upon a golden bough to sing to lords and ladies of Byzantium of what is past or passing or to come. So he says, I'm more interested in becoming an eternal piece of art, which is a thing of beauty. A thing of beauty is a joy forever, as Keats said. So he says, that is my wish, that is my dream. I invoke upon gods to make me not a physical form again, but an eternal piece of art. For example, a bird which would keep a drowsy emperor awake and would sit on a golden branch of a tree to sing to the ladies and lords of Byzantium the songs of what was past, what is still going on, the present, and what is going to come in the future. So therefore we see that this poem, Sailing to Byzantium, is giving us a picture of his personal pain, sorrow, his dream, his wishes also, and on the other hand, it is allegorically taking us to different allegories, different references of the past, references of the kingdom of art, which is Byzantium. And the structure of the poem is briefly, it is an ottava rima, each stanza having 8 lines with a set rhyme scheme. And it has several figures of speech, as I mentioned. It has alliteration, it has a metaphor, a simile, a personification also. It personifies the soul which claps its hands. So it is rich in imagery and figures of speech also. And allegorically it teaches us many things as to how in old age poets like Yeats long for more spiritual fulfillment and ecstasy. Therefore we notice that Byzantium is not just a symbol. It comes out as an important symbol of eternity, of art, of a place where an old man like Yeats can go, look for a blissful life and invoke the gods for his own soul's solace. Therefore we see that the poem is enriched with figures of speech, with symbols which talk about art, artifice, eternity, a life which is transcendent, which goes beyond the physical pleasures, which goes beyond the physical struggles, and goes into the eternity of bliss and art. Thank you.